Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Glow of Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. Hello, happy Thursday. If you're listening to us on a Thursday, blue skies in the air, in the sky. That didn't make sense. Doesn't matter. It's blue skies here in Toronto, which means I'm in a good mood. Realistically, I have been in a really good mood for the past, I would say, solid week. Now, quickly want to mention we are on day 4 of the Glow Up Challenge if you guys are participating, which I hope you guys are feeling really good about the routines and the goals that you've been hitting. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will leave that podcast episode down below. I'm also vlogging a few days in my life of the Glow Up Challenge because I think it'll just be a helpful motivation for you guys if you are on the challenge with me. Even if you're not doing any sort of challenge, I just think I personally like watching vlogs of people getting back into routines and habits and glowing up. Like, spring's almost here, okay? And with that said, when it comes to spring is almost here, this weekend, at least in Toronto, this weekend was the first sign of spring. I don't care if it's gonna snow again, which has barely been snowing, honestly. I don't care that it's February, whatever day it is, like first, second week of February. I don't care. Spring is coming, and it was felt this weekend. I felt like I awakened to a part of me that has been very suppressed and dull for a very long time. And this even goes beyond the winter time. And so I want to give you a little bit of a story and how this story maybe can help motivate and inspire you if you are going through a tough time or you're waiting and you're really wanting things in your life and you're feeling like circumstances in your life are affecting what you can even get in your life. And how I really think that life circumstances, the cards that you got dealt, don't have to dictate what you want in your life and your desires, and you can actually get a lot in your life. And I think that I'm a pretty good example. But this weekend, sorry, I'm just do not disturbing my phone. This weekend, I woke up on Friday, okay? And mind you, it was 12 degrees in Toronto, which I think is around 52 degrees Celsius, I think. Whatever, I don't know. You guys in America, I don't really get it. 50-ish something. I don't know. Anyways, it was warm, okay? And the sun was out. Now, mind you, when I woke up on Friday morning, I didn't even know it was going to be sunny. And I didn't even know it was going to be warm. I thought it was going to be a gloomy day. But something within me, there was just this energy shift. And I just woke up craving something to do with spirituality. And for me, what that looks like is usually lighting an incense, pulling a tarot card, bringing out my crystals, listening to chakra music, listening to like law of attraction videos and all that good stuff. Like, that to me is like what I do. And I really haven't been doing a lot of that. Now, I journal in the morning, but I feel like throughout the winter, I've really been doing a lot of shadow work. Like, I've been working deep on my wounds and my shadows and everything. So I wasn't really... And honestly, like, if it was dark, it was heavy, it was carrying a lot of emotions, like whatever, but that phase needed to happen. So I wasn't really tapping into like the light and the positivity and just the peacefulness and the just surrendering of life for a very long time, which sometimes if you don't tap into that side of you, you tend to fall really deep into negative emotions longer than even need be. I wouldn't say that I was doing that, but anyways, whatever. It's been a long time since I even tapped into that part of me that just was craving just the pleasantness of just like calm vibes and energy in my mind, like I said, spirituality. So anyways, I woke up and I lit my incense, and I barely have any more incense. Well, now I do because I went and got some, but I barely have any, but I found like a little piece of it and I lit that incense. It was like Palo Santo sage or something. I don't know how to say it. Oh my gosh, the spiritual girl is going to come for me. And as soon as I lit that incense, the smell just brought me right back to this era in my life before my YouTube channel really popped up. Actually, I was on TikTok and I was posting one video a week on YouTube, but I didn't have my YouTube career, and I didn't even have the podcast on YouTube. It was just like audio, and I was really just focusing on TikTok. But that smell just brought me right back to when I used to do this basically every day. I would wake up in the morning, like bright mornings. I would light my incense. I was really into crystals, and I was pulling cards, and I was working on understanding how the universe works and manifestation. Now, mind you, I've gone through many phases of understanding what manifestation is and law of attraction and this, that. I know not everyone vibes with that, and that's totally fine, to each their own. But I was just really getting in touch with my higher self, and I just felt very calm and positive, and the vibes were just right. Like, it just felt so good. So as soon as I lit that incense, I got brought right back into it, which is so interesting that smells can just bring you back to a certain moment. Like, when you go out and you just walk past someone and it just like brings you back to this one memory, like years and years ago. It's crazy. It's so crazy how things work in life. So anyways, when I tapped into this morning routine of mine, spiritual morning routine, I had no resistance to this, but I had a lot of resistance to other things in my life, like things that I had to do on my to-do list. Now, they didn't have to be done that day, but I was just feeling like I was just being too much of a tyrant. And I was like, you know what? My soul, my body is calling to, I don't know, lean more into the spiritual vibe that I'm in right now. So let me do that. And then I said, you know what? After my meeting, because I don't have any more incense, I am going to go to the Rock Store, which is literally called the Rock Store in Toronto. I believe it's in Ossington. And go get some new incense, maybe go grab some new crystals, whatever, because you haven't been there in a very long time. Like, this has been like 2 years really since I've had this era. Now, I tapped into it a little bit in the summertime. I remember, like, things were good, whatever, but then, life happens, and life requires you to tap into other aspects of, like I just said, with winter and journaling and shadow work and releasing emotions and everything like that. And by the time I was done my morning routine and I was journaling, and I have also been listening to Abraham Hicks' positive morning videos, which I used to always listen to, and it just got me in such a good freaking mood during the day. Like, and you know what? I've been so just over consumed with social media and content and opinions and everyone and everything and this, that I needed a mental diet. And I say, and I preach a mental diet all the time, and I have a pretty positive mental diet even when I'm consuming other people's stuff, but I was like, I need to like move away from this for a second. So it just felt so intuitive and so good for me to listen to like Abraham Hicks positive morning videos and stuff like that. So I was like really tapping into that. And then by the time I was done everything, the sun was out, and I looked, and apparently it was going to be like 12 degrees. So I was like, oh my God, amazing. I am going to take myself on this little mini solo date. And so that's what I did. I Ubered to the place because I wanted to walk back, and it was going to be like an hour. And I got my incense. I got my little crystals. I walked through some of the most beautiful like landscapes of like Yorkville. It was so stunning. It was so warm. It was just, everything was in alignment. It was like I was walking in this like universe of just law of attraction vibes. And I was listening to Abraham. I was just living my best life. Okay. So that day I felt like I was awakening, but you know what? It was beyond the fact that the sun was out and that it was warm. There was something brewing with inside of me, this wanting to just be alive again. And I think it does have to do with the fact that, I was kind of not alive for the past season. And so when I got back home, I put on my incense, put on the videos again. What else did I do? Oh, and this is where I started to listen to music, because that's something that I like to do when I am not being a tyrant on myself and I'm not like under the shackles of doing work all the time. I love to just listen to the music that I feel so connected to. And the sun was out, so I was just vibing to music. And I have another thought, but I'm just going to like put it over here actually for a second, because I don't want to go too much in a rant. I was listening to music. I went back to old music that really makes me feel good. And one of the songs I was listening to, and I don't know if I picked it or if it came up, I don't know, but it was 1,000 Miles by the Kid Laroi, which if you don't know that song, go listen to it. You probably heard of it. And it's not that it's a spiritual song, but that song brought me right back to, again, the same moment when I was like in this spiritual realm of like routines, and I was in like the positive affirmations and alignment, and I was manifesting and everything. And the summer before the fall of when everything changed, when it came to leaving my job and going full-time YouTube and all that kind of stuff, this song was always playing when I was serving, because I was a bartender slash server after I left my corporate. I was working both of those jobs, but then I went full-time serving and bartending, and I was listening to this song all the time. And again, this song brought me back to this era of my life where things felt so good. And then I was thinking, when I was listening to this song, it's so crazy, because when my memory goes back to this area of my life, I didn't have my YouTube channel yet. I wasn't making money off of really anything other than like random brand deals here and there. I couldn't quit my job. I was working full time, busting my ass. I also didn't want to be working like serving and bartending, because I had so much more that I wanted to do. I wanted to do like TikTok and podcasting and YouTube full time. Like I had things that I wanted to say, and I was like really putting it out there in the world. Like I really wanted the thing. There's so many things that I wanted that I didn't have yet. Yet I come back to this memory, and everything felt so good. And you would think that everything that was around me would have broken me, but it didn't. And why didn't it? Like the hours in and hours out, and the stress and the financial instability and the not having my goals yet and still working towards everything. Why did none of that really like shake me in a way? And it was because I was fully enjoying the process. It wasn't that I wasn't in a rush to get what I really wanted, but I learned how to be okay with what I had as I was on the pursuit of getting everything that I wanted in my life. But I also wasn't perceiving the things in my life that I currently like had got dealt with as bad. And I think like sometimes when you have things going on in your life that you don't want to be happening, you just think almost like, woe is me, or this is so crappy, this shouldn't be happening. Or, you come from a life circumstance where the odds are very much so stacked against you, and you start looking at those odds like odds. You start looking at it like, wow, I came from this crappy childhood and no money here, and look at everyone around me, like I'm just going to become like that. Like sometimes you can get like, there's no doubt like there's things going on in your life that could actually like make you go one or two ways. But I think for me, like I really stood in this belief, in this energy, in this, I don't know, of okay, what's happening in my circumstance is not ideal, but this is going to change, and this is not going to be my forever. And I am not going to let these circumstances get in the way of where I am going in life. And I could have. And I always hear this from friends and family, from like personal life. Like I grew up in a not the best environment. My mom did the best that she could. She's a great mom. Still to this day, she's a great mom, and she's come such a long way. But my dad did whatever he could. He wasn't the worst dad in the world, but we didn't have a good relationship, and I was like traumatized a lot, and I was in fight or flight. And then my mom went through her addictions, and I could have gone the absolute opposite way that I went in my life, which was falling down the path of an addict. And I saw that with some of her friends' children. There's literally, I'm not going to get too much in detail, but there was this girl who was only a few years older than me, and she used to babysit me, and we were like friends, but I used to look up to her like a big sister. And she was my mom's friend's child. So we like grew up together really. And she is worse off than even like anyone I've ever seen in my life, like completely like on the streets, like gone at such a young age. And that could have been me. That literally could have been me. But I think that something that I knew is true for me, and I've always seen within myself, is this belief of, okay, maybe what I have got handed to me right now is not the best, but I'm not going to take this for what it is, and like this is going to be my life. Like I'm going to get where I want. And What can I do in the moment to not resist, though, the things that are currently happening in my life, and work with it? Because this is the thing that I think we struggle with. When we see something that we don't want in our lives, we say this shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening? We resist it, right? Because we don't want it to be happening. Now, obviously you can question what's happening in your life, and you want to like create space and remove yourself from situations. But sometimes there's things that you just can't necessarily remove yourself from, but that doesn't mean that needs to get in the way of your growth. It's just the way that you're looking at it. And I'll give an example of, let's say, serving. Like, I didn't want to be serving and bartending, but instead of looking at it like, wow, this is not a job that I want to be doing and I want to be working for myself and YouTube and this, that, I looked at this job as just a stepping stone to get me exactly where I want in my life. And I wasn't going to look at it very negatively. And I switched my mindset when it came to going into work, because I was tired a lot and I didn't want to hustle. Well, it's not that I didn't want to hustle. I actually have a really big hustle mentality, mainly from fight or flight, because ain't nobody paying my bills and ain't nobody doing anything for me, really. So I kind of had to be like that. But, I remember times when I used to have not the best attitude and mindset going into work, but then I started to realize that wasn't actually helping me, and I was actually creating shittier circumstances based out of how I was perceiving what was happening, which was like, oh, I shouldn't have this job, or I don't want this job, or I want all these better things out here, but right now I have this. And I was like dwelling in that. Like I realized that wasn't working. So I changed the way that I was looking at my circumstance. And I said, okay, you know what? My life circumstance in terms of my parents and that situation, it is what it is. Like, what lessons can I learn from them? How can I learn not to be like them in a way? And in some ways I love to be like my mom, though, and I love to be like my dad in that way. There's aspects of him that I feel like I embody, but what are the things that I can learn from this, and how can I stop dwelling so much in the unwanted? Because dwelling in the unwanted never ever gave me or got me to where I wanted to be. Because when you focus on all the things that you don't want to be happening in your life, you tend to be this problem solver instead of this like solution-based person. And you want to move into the solution-based energy to be able to get yourself out of those situations. But sometimes when you are too in the solution-based energy of, let me change everything and let me get myself out of this circumstance, you sometimes run into the issue of you're trying to run away. It's almost like the energy is, this shouldn't be happening, which on a law of attraction standpoint, in my opinion, you tend to then attract more of that. Anyways, whatever. Bringing it back to my like spiritual era before I got everything I wanted in my life, I didn't even really realize, but practices that I was doing, the gratitude that I was having for the job, for the life, for the everything, the lessons I was learning instead of looking at it like, wow, why did this have to happen in my life? All of those things allowed me to be in an energy of relaxing and abundance in a way, and not in this energy of like anything needs to change, which allowed me to become a match to better things in my life. And I ended up getting exactly where I needed to be because I was looking through a lens of opportunity, because I was in a positive mindset. I was not resisting what life was currently giving me. And that allowed me to take action steps towards bringing myself closer to being a YouTuber or to being X, Y, and Z in life. And I think if you want the things that you want in your life, what has to happen? You have to take action towards those things. But it's hard for you to take action towards those things when you're looking at everything in your life like, this shouldn't be happening. This can't be happening. This is the problem. I don't want to be here. So I want to talk about a few things that could help you if you're in this energy right now of like waiting for good things to happen in your life, or you're feeling a lot of negative emotion, or you're not enjoying where you're at right now, in hopes to help you move through and just honestly embrace life. Because, and I think a lot of us do this when we're into self-development, is we tend to always be in this growth mindset, which growth is amazing. We love it. We love self-improving. But sometimes we get into this growth mindset of always wanting to change and evolve because we're uncomfortable with what's happening right now, which is the very thing that sometimes doesn't get us what we want in our lives. We're looking at it as a law of attraction standpoint, if that's how we're going to look at it. Because a law of attraction, and if you don't believe in this, that's fine. I think these tips can still apply. The law of attraction really is like attracts like. So you want to be in this energy of allowing, of safety, of happiness, of love, of abundance already if you want to bring in more of that in your life. But if you are in this growth mindset so much to the point where the energy that you're putting out into the universe is actually, I am not good here. I am not good here. How is it that you're going to actually bring better things into your life when your attraction point is actually the opposite of what you want in a way? Again, that's really only if you believe in the law of attraction and like attracts like, and if you don't, then you can just leave that to the side. So I think the first mindset shift that I really had, and maybe you can adopt this too, is understanding that even when circumstances are crappy, it doesn't mean that you can't create the life of your dreams. It doesn't mean that you can't get out of this situation. I think that is the most important mindset shift you need to have. You have to believe that you can get yourself out of crappy situations. You have to believe that things are going to change. You have to believe that you're almost like this creator of your own reality, or if you believe in God or whatever it is that you believe in, something higher than you, something different, whatever. You have to believe that. Because if you don't, then you're not really going to adopt any other habits that would allow you to bring in things or allow you to even see that anything is changeable in your life, because you just have this dominant belief of like, I can't. And the reason why I brought it back to like the story is my life was not perfect. I still didn't have the money. I didn't have the goals. I didn't have I don't know about the health, but there's so many things that I still didn't have. And I manifested so many things out of that state, even though all the odds were basically stacked against me in those moments in my entire life circumstance. Okay. So if I could get through some of the hardest freaking things in my life, even health-wise, everything, you can too. But it starts with a mindset shift. It starts with you understanding that, you're going to be able to see this if you're on YouTube. When you're born, and this is what I believe, when you're born, you get handed this deck of cards, okay? These cards are your parents, your life circumstances, your genes, your environment, the country you live in, the religion you got grown up in, all of the trauma that happens to you, everything, okay? But you need to look at your deck of cards like these cards are changeable. I can upgrade them. I can take them out if I want to. I can work with them. I can look at them a different way and say, actually, this is not that bad if I look at it like this in this light over here, you know? Let me see the positive aspect of that instead of all of the dark and all of the negative and all the crappiness, right? Because there's just going to be cards in your deck that are unchangeable. I couldn't change the fact that my dad passed away. And when I did have a relationship with him, it was pretty traumatic. Okay, because I was afraid of him all the time, which really affected the way that I released any sort of emotions in my life, which then I suppressed a lot. And then that got into so many relationships and health issues and everything. I couldn't change the fact that my mom went through addictions. Couldn't change that. But I could change the way that I viewed my parent card. Okay, I could see the positive aspects in which I received from my dad. Discipline, although it was very strict, but I did learn discipline. I learned responsibility. I learned not to lose myself as a young child. I learned not to do some of the things that my girlfriends were doing in school, like run around and sleep with guys and get pregnant and that. I definitely wasn't doing that. And also when it came to like my mom, I learned how to be really, really responsible at a younger age. And now, yes, that was hard in so many aspects, but I mean, that entire story of me going through the journey of life, of taking responsibility of my life, and even also learning what it means to be with somebody who is also hurting and an addict and going through maybe mental health issues. And, that created a lot of understanding and compassion also I had to learn, and everything, right? Everything that came out of that. And by the way, my mom's doing so much better now. She's no longer an addict, which is something also crazy for me to see, because I've seen the evolution of her and her growth, and people really can change. People can really change. Anyways, it's a whole nother story. So anyways, looking at that card, right? And then and other cards that when you're like, I don't really want to be surrounded by friends or men who think this way or act this way. Okay, so I'm just going to upgrade this, and I'm not going to have conversations with these people about this thing over here, and I'm going to remove you know what I mean? You have to look at your deck of cards like they're changeable, because if you don't, then you're going to have a really hard time in life. And I think it's hard for people to even believe that they can change their deck of cards, because everything in their life is showing them otherwise. But the thing is we don't wait for life to show us what is possible. We have to believe it's possible first. Now we can search for evidence, little glimmers of hope in our lives to show us that it's possible, which you can do in this generation. You really can. You go online and you see people talk about their stories all the time. Like, that can really help. But so I get it, but you're gonna need to have a level of you persisting and believing that things can change before they even change, really. That's really how a lot of things work. Now, another thing that I think is really helpful in helping you believe that your deck of cards can be changed, but also allow you to slowly find evidence in your life of positivity, of hope, of something can change, is tapping into gratitude. This changed my freaking life when I was living in a damn trap house. Okay. So this is beyond the spiritual energy era that I went through when we're talking about YouTube a few years ago. I'm talking about when I was, I don't know, it was 2018, 2017, 18, 19 era was probably the worst. It was probably just the biggest hit of traumatic, hard things in my life. There was a lot going on, and that was the worst of my mom's addictions as well. And I was living in a household with her, with other addicts, with a guy who was renting a room from us, and he was a dealer, and he was pimping out his girlfriend. It was bad. Okay. I probably won't ever go into that many details. I don't think it's necessary, but I do think that sometimes it's helpful to share. I went through it, okay? And I was trying my best in my little room this is when I first started my self-development era, by the way, is because it was the only thing that really helped me do the opposite of what I was seeing in my life. This was the turning point for me. It was either I was going to turn into the people that I lived with, or I was going to turn into someone completely different. So I dove into podcasts. I dove into reading spiritual books. That's when I first started to read about the law of attraction and everything like that. So it really started from back then, 2017, I would say. A little bit before then, actually, because I started to glow up, and I talk about it in my book, but I would say around then. Reason why I'm bringing that up is because I was really in fight or flight, and I had everything in my reality show me that life was not going to be possible, that I was not going to get what I wanted. Finances were crap. Relationship with my mom was crap. That's when I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I was not well. Nothing in my life was great. And something that I learned, which really got me out of the situation that I was in, was tapping into gratitude, because gratitude made me feel safe and allowed me to have some glimmer of hope. Because this is the thing, sometimes it's hard for you to believe things are possible when you don't see it in your life, and for you to tell yourself an affirmation of yeah, I'm going to become a millionaire, or yeah, I'm going to get out of this health situation, or yeah, things are going to change. So instead of trying to do that, sometimes what's better is to wake up every day and have a gratitude list. Write out all the things, all the ways in which the universe or God or whatever is already supporting you. That creates a lot of safety, a lot of positivity, a lot of ease and calm within your own mind and your body. And when you aren't in an activated state of fight or flight, and you're more in the rest and digest, by you telling yourself what you already have and where you're already supported in your life, you tend to then be able to take the proper steps to get yourself out of the situation. It's really hard for you to healthily get out of a situation when you're in fight or flight, when you're looking at everything as a threat. So the best thing to do is to not look at everything as a threat. And how do you do that? You actually look for cues of safety. So, and I'm telling you, if I could do this, you could do this, okay? And I still do this today. And it's really so natural to me that I don't really have to like actually sit down and like tell myself I have to do gratitude. But I still absolutely do this. It's just like a mindset. It's rewired in my brain to look at life like this. But I would write out, and this was in relation also to anything I actually really wanted, because when you're in a crappy situation in your life, you're very aware of all the things that you want. You want a new car, you want more money, you want better health, you want a new place, you want a new relationship, you want X, Y, and Z. You're very aware of all the things that you want. But sometimes you being so hyper-focused on everything that you want just reminds you of all the things that you don't, and then you just focus and you get irritated on all the things that you don't want in your life. So it's not to say that you can't focus on manifestations and goals and you want to work towards them. Yes, we know what we want in our lives, okay? It's very fucking easy. Sorry to swear. But what do you already have in your life that you could be grateful for, okay? And so I remember like I read these journal entries out on one of my videos of my life became a Pinterest board and manifestation videos on my main channel, which I will link down below. I would write in my journal every single morning, and this was like parallel to the things that I actually wanted in my life. I would write, I was so grateful for my Mazda that got me from point A to point B, even though I freaking hated my Mazda because it was old. I was on high interest because that was the only way I could get a freaking car loan. It wasn't the car that I wanted. Like I really wanted a new car. It was just wasting so much money, X, Y, and Z. Every morning I was so incredibly grateful. And I really felt this, guys. It wasn't like I was just lying just to like, okay, I'm going to just be grateful just so I can get my car. It's not about that. You can't do that. That's not how it works. Tap into the actual feeling of safety that it is that you have a car that gets you to point A to point B. And that car got me to work where I was able to make as much money as I could to save up and get out of debt and to get myself out of it. I would wake up every single day and be so grateful for my smile and that I was able to smile out in the world and be confident in whatever, even though I still really wanted to work on my teeth and I wanted to get work done with my cavities and I wanted to get braces and like all of that. I still, every single morning, was so grateful for the smile that I had. I did that with my health, even though I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and I was deathly afraid and I was like, oh my God, I don't want this. And I was really I was like orthorexic at that point. I was really hyper focused on eating only clean foods. And if I didn't, I freaked the F out and then I was just binge eating it was really, really bad. I would wake up every morning and I would like write out all of the things that I still could do. Like I still had energy to get up and be able to go to work. At least I could go to work. You know, some people who have illnesses can't even go to work, right? So everything that I felt grateful for, and I did that list every single day. And the more that I did that, I created, and we're talking again more about energies, law of attraction, so you can just like bypass this if you don't believe in it. But I personally believe when you're changing your vibration, when you're changing your energy state, you become a match to more things in that same energy state. So if I'm waking up every single day and I'm feeling safe and I'm feeling abundant because I'm grateful for my car and I have everything that I need and I'm not resisting anything in life, I don't need anything outside of me. I have goals, yes, but everything, I'm safe here. I'm not trying to run away from this situation. I'm in this energy of attracting. And what did I do? I attracted everything that I needed. Every single person, connection, extra money, new podcast episode that made me think differently, a new book that helped me get to X, Y, and Z, that got me out of the situation, a new job opportunity, new whatever. It all was connected back to the energy that I was in and the lens that I was then looking outside of just from that. And you think about this, right? When you wake up in the morning and you're grateful for the things that you have and you're in this positive energy state, you're going to go through your day with a little bit more ease, right? You're a little bit more lighter. You're a little bit more happier. You're like, actually, I can do this. I can do this thing. But if you don't have that practice, then everything becomes dreadful. Everything becomes a problem, an issue. And then on top of that, you go through life. And if there's people who are negative, or there's people who are yapping, or they're talking about how shitty life is, or, oh my God, inflation here and no money there, and everyone's just whatever, which is not to deny that things are not happening in this world. But when you're around a lot of that, which is basically everywhere, because it's really hard for people to even do this, you will get so sucked into people's energy if you aren't solid within yourself. And this really helped me move through life, okay? Because let's bring it back to where I was when I was serving as a bartender and a server. I was around a lot of people who were complaining, who were in debt, who just had crappy mindsets, who weren't positive, who that was their life circumstance, whatever. But I was able to still move in, and I'm not saying every like bar, restaurant, workplace is negative. Like there's, it's not like that, but especially because I didn't kind of want to be there. Because I worked on the gratitude and I was really in the spiritual era, and I was just like, I knew things were coming to me. I wasn't resisting the things that were happening in my life. When somebody would want to spew onto me their negativity or complain, and listen, I used to work with a lot of customers, okay? And customers love to complain about everything. I wouldn't let them trigger me. I wouldn't, even if, let's say, a table didn't tip that night, no problem. No problem. I'm not making this an issue. I'm not losing anything. You know what? If this person doesn't tip over here, there's going to be a table that I'm going to get, and they're going to walk in and they're going to tip me tenfold. I would have that mindset. And you know one thing? Oh my God. I remember distinctively the summer that I was really into my spiritual era and like really changed my mindset more. And again, I've had obviously like multiple eras of this where I really wanted to work on like more abundance, because I started to realize I was kind of like being negative at work, and really always hyper focusing on the tables that wouldn't tip or this, that, and like negative talk. You get pulled in when you're not having these healthy routines, right? So when I started getting more on a routine, and I was like, I'm not going to let people piss me the fuck off. And then even if they do, it's not that I'm ignoring them, but it's just like, they're going to be over here. I don't need to take on that energy myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try something. When I go into work, I am only going to focus on all of the abundance, and I'm going to be so grateful for the tips, even if people tip only 10%, which, if you're a server, that's a little low, I'm not going to be upset about that. You know why? And I'm going to tell myself a new story. It doesn't even matter. Maybe they just didn't have enough money, so that's okay. But also I'm going to get that back tenfold. It's not an issue, right? And this is the thing. When you focus on, oh my God, they only tip 10%, you're in lack, realistically, right? You don't believe that there's not going to be more coming to you. You really don't. And I personally wanted more to come to me. So I was like, you know what? That's not helping me anyways when it comes to bringing in any abundance. So why am I focusing on all the things that are not working out? I'm going to focus on all the abundance that is coming to me. Grateful for everything. Grateful for the 10%. Grateful for, even if people didn't tip anything, I would let it go. Let it go. And mind you, I've worked in the serving industry a lot, and there's been times where it's really hard to let it go, and there's been times that I didn't, and I would find that I would then tend to have more tables and more tables that didn't tip, or more tables that were just crap, or this, that. But the more time I focused on not letting these little small negative circumstances over here get in my way, and align my energy back to what really mattered, and understanding that money is going to come, money's going to flow, it's not a big deal. It rarely happened, and I was making so much more money. My last year as serving as a freaking bartender, I made freaking bank, okay? And I swear it was my mindset and the way that I was interacting with these people and the way that I was just viewing life, and I was just in this positivity. So I speak that to the rooftops because I think some people, and this is myself too, and I have to remind myself, although it is quite wired in my brain now, like we're always like, we want the abundance, we want the thing, but sometimes in the pursuit of wanting something so bad, you actually are just signaling out to how much things are not good. You're not good here, and you're actually focusing on the negative is really what I'm saying. So bringing it back to gratitude, having gratitude for the things that you have in your life. Having gratitude is also not giving up on your desires. Okay. You're never going to give up on your desires anyway. So like, don't ever think that that's going to be a thing. It's just, if we're talking about a vibrational match, that will help. Now, you don't want to also tap into gratitude just to try and get what you want in your life, because it doesn't actually work, because it's almost like the laws of the universe, and the universe will know when you are just trying to use a technique in order to get a result, because in the pursuit of you trying to use this technique, you're still not in the actual energetic state of allowing an abundance in that way. We can have a whole nother talk about the law of attraction, honestly. And I do have an episode, I believe. But anyways, that's just something that really helped me on their pursuit of getting out of crappy circumstances in my life. Now, another thing that really helped me every time my mind goes to some of the worst circumstances in my life, those periods of time, what helped me was raising my vibration and whatever it meant to me in those moments. So I think raising your vibration really is like, what's your mental diet? What are you eating? Are you moving your body? Like, what are the conversations that you're having? What are the practices that you're having? And are you doing that consistently? You want to like build this momentum of positive energy and like really good flow. And you're not going to be perfect and you don't need to. You don't need to always like think good thoughts. And like, if you think a negative thought, like you're just going to manifest like the worst thing. That's not, no. But in general, like, what are your routines? And I think, coming back to where I'm at right now, I think that that's really naturally where my body was wanting to go, my mind, my soul, my whatever, is tapping more into a good routine. Lighting incense makes me feel good. Crystals, cards, not always being such a tyrant on myself, listening to Abraham Hicks, getting more into spirituality, whatever that means, like that feels really, really good to me. And that propels me forward in finding more positive, good energy and evidence in my life. It motivates me to continue to get up and do work and work on myself and do all of these things from a place of enjoyment and growth, but not from a place of, oh my God, I need to get out of this situation, right? Like, it's almost like you want to romanticize the process and enjoy the process and stop running away from the process. And how you do that is, you have some sort of good mental diet that you really vibe with. So again, like talking about mental diet, I listen to Abraham Hicks videos in the morning instead of listening to like scrolling on TikTok or something, So thinking about your life right now, what are the routines and what is the process that you have? You might not even have anything right now. Maybe it's like, you're starting to realize, well, every day I wake up and I just go scroll on TikTok, or, I have the same conversations with people every single day, or I've been watching these videos and they actually just aren't hitting and whatever. So, we could go again in a whole another episode of even raising your vibrations, but I think you just need to tap into what feels good to you. Okay. What feels good to me is not going to feel good to you. Maybe meditation makes you feel really peaceful and calm. Maybe listening to an Abraham Hicks video in the morning, or maybe if you're more on the religious side, you're listening to like a pastor every single morning, you're going outside and you're listening to podcasts instead of music that just makes your head go crazy. Who knows, right? Be the energy that you want to be, and it's gonna be up to you. And it feels so good to feel good. You have to be like committed to wanting to feel good. And I think, I don't know, for me, I've been feeling not the best. And so I'm really ready to feel better. So that's why I've been doing a lot of these routines. Another thing that was really huge, and this was so apparent that I tapped into, especially when I was growing on YouTube, because when you have a goal, you set a goal and you work towards that goal, obviously you have in your mind of like when you want to accomplish it, or when you want it to come. But being grateful, tapping into gratitude allows you to usually actually bring things closer to you and faster anyways. But also enjoying the process and raising your vibration and just like having fun with things and everything like that, you tend to, it's not that you don't want the goal anymore, but you're not so like, oh my God, I need it. But genuinely detaching from when it needs to happen is gonna be so big, which is so hard when you're in really tough circumstances. And I think back to the really, really hard circumstances in my life of, living in the household that I lived in. All I wanted was to get out of it like tomorrow. But I knew, and especially with YouTube, I knew that things are gonna take time. I don't know. I don't even need to know though. All I need to know is it's happening. I believe it's going to change. I'm going to tap into gratitude. I'm going to feel a good feeling state as I'm on this pursuit. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to learn the lessons, and it's going to come to me. You have to detach. I think that that's what keeps people so agitated and so anxious and so like waiting energy. Like you're waiting for your manifestation. When is it going to come? When is it going to come? it's because you're so attached to the outcome, which I get, but it's like, you need to believe that it's going to come, and focus what I just told you to focus on, and it will come. And I knew that so strongly when I was building my YouTube. I knew, you know what, it's going to happen when it happens. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know when the views are going to pop off, or when I'm going to get more subscribers. It doesn't matter. What I need to do is to believe, know it into being, obviously have confidence within myself, like what I'm doing, enjoy the process, and post consistently, show up as a person who has what it is that I really already want, which is, okay, I'm a YouTuber, I'm posting every single week. You know, you have to like be also available for the things that you say that you want in your life. That's why gratitude and raising your vibrations and having routines are really important, because sometimes we're calling in things in our lives that we're not even available for. All you're doing is complaining every single day about how you want a better relationship, and you want happiness, and you want love, and you want money, but you're not doing anything. And I don't mean you have to do a lot. I just mean, what is your routines like? Are you being grateful? Are you even in that vibration? Are you even like enjoying what you have right now? Are you getting out in the world? Are you available? Are you open? The universe is always trying to freaking bring you things, but you half the time you're closed. And bringing it to YouTube, if I wanted to be a YouTuber, which is what I wanted to be, which is what I am, I had to get up and I had to have a schedule, and I needed to post YouTube videos. Okay? So thinking about the things that you say that you want in your life, are you even taking action towards that? Are you even open to the universe bringing you these blessings? And a lot of times we're not even open to that because we don't have the routine. We don't have the gratitude. We're so much in this energy of focusing on everything that we don't have, or believing that it's not possible. Well, then of course you're not going to get what you really want in your life. How is it possible that you're going to get that when you're so closed off? So always assessing the situation to see, are you focusing so much on the outcome and when it's going to happen? Are you focused more on the process and enjoying it, learning the lessons, feeling good? That should only be your focus. And the last thing I think was really huge for me when it came to believing I could get out of crappy situations, not letting crappy situations break me down, persist through them, stay positive, and just keep going. And I still use this mindset to this day, which is, well, I guess it's called the law of assumption. And really what that is just assuming that everything is working out in your favor. And now I understand that some people might feel like this is a little bit delusional mindset to have, but you don't have to be like, everything is always working out and everything is just so great. It's not about, denying that there might be crappy things going on in your life. But I think when things aren't working out in your life, or you just don't see a way out, or you're just feeling really down and out, just understanding like this is a part of the process and things are going to change. And I don't know how things are going to change right now, but there's going to be a reason. And also not tying yourself to needing to know the reason right now, coming back to detaching from outcomes and detaching from this need of something to be different than it's not. Just understanding that this is a part of life, and just assuming that things are going to work out in your favor. But also I really think this mindset helps in terms of not being afraid of when things do come up in life, because the truth of the matter is, and I think this is where people struggle with believing in law of attraction and believing in spirituality and that is because, things do happen in your life and you can't ignore it. Negative emotion happens. And I think a lot of people think in a spiritual realm of like spiritual bypassing and just suppressing your emotions and just thinking positively and that. And it's no wonder that people don't resonate with that. And I don't either. But I think it's because of this need of not being comfortable with the unknown, being uncomfortable with fear, being uncomfortable with negative emotions. And I think I learned this a lot when I was learning about trauma and the nervous system and somatic therapy and healing, that there's actually a lot of benefit in negative emotion and listening to your emotions and letting things out and feeling your emotions and not suppressing. That was definitely something I didn't first learn when I learned about spirituality and law of attraction. I just thought, okay, I have to think really positive thoughts, and if I have negative thoughts, then I have to keep pushing them to the side. But sometimes when you can't seem to get in a positive energy, a positive mindset, whatever, it is great to explore those emotions. Don't be afraid of them. You're not going to ruin your progress or ruin your manifestations if you're just not feeling well and things aren't going on in your life. And I really think that your emotions tell you a lot about where you're going in life. So it's actually important to listen instead of suppress and reject and deny your emotions. And I think coming back to what I was saying about how the winter was needed for me personally, is because I learned so much about myself, about where to navigate and bring my energy and my focus in life moving forward into this new spring season that's going to come. And I did a lot of shadow work. I did a lot of just deep work on myself that was needed. But I think sometimes when people go into a spiritual journey, when they feel like, something's coming online right now, or things aren't working out, or, oh my gosh, I have anxiety, or I have depression, oh my God, things aren't working. See, spirituality doesn't work. Law of attraction doesn't work. Positive thinking doesn't work. Da, da, da. It's not that it doesn't work. It's just sometimes you need to go deeper, and that's okay. Don't be afraid of it. And I talk about this all the time. And what tends to happen is the more you train yourself to not be afraid of negative emotions, the more you can get down and deep with them and see the beautiful essence of what your emotional guidance system is actually trying to tell you, your higher self, your spiritual self, your whatever you want to believe in is telling you. You tend to actually transform quicker and faster because you're not having any resistance to it. And I think that that's why it's important to tap into this law of assumption energy or mindset, is because when you are feeling like things aren't working out in your life, just sometimes at least for me, I no longer resist. You know what? Okay, I feel anxiety today. I feel depression. What is it? What do I need? What's happening? What's the misalignment that's happening? Can I connect the dots? And this is not from a place of, let me connect the dots so I can get out of being depressed really quickly because I hate this. It's not about that. I look at it and I assess the situation as what it is. And it's, you know what? Something's going on right now within me. What happened before I felt like this? Where can I meet my needs right now? What do I need? And then eventually, where can I lead myself out of this? But I'm not in this energy of needing to get out of it really quick, even though it's really hard, of course, because nobody wants to be depressed. Nobody wants to feel anxiety. But I think a lot more of your depression and anxiety comes from the fact that you're resisting it. Seriously, it's always been a thing for me that I feel more depressed and more anxiety and more stress and I create more circumstances that are crappy in my life the more I resist the thing. So stop resisting the thing. Listen to your emotions. Life talks to you. People talk to you. Everyone is talking to you. Listen, don't resist. Create a routine that you feel good in. So majority of the time, yes, that you can be bringing in all the positivity, all the abundance, all the love. But of course, life is not black and white. You're not always going to be like the most positive person, and that's totally fine. Find a balance. And I think detaching from the outcome of when things need to change in your life, you will see you're gonna be in the life or the area of whatever it is that you want to be in very quickly. It will happen like that. And it happens like that all the time with me. And it happened like that with so many things in my life. Even when I think about like YouTube and my career, like it happened so much quicker than I thought because I just detached. And I do this with a lot of things in my life now. And this is why I try not to hyper focus too much on numbers or goals. Like, yes, I have numbers and goals, and like you have to have structure in your life. But I set those goals and I just let it go because I don't even want to limit myself, right? Sometimes when you set goals and numbers and outcomes, you tend to even limit yourself. You never even know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen or who's going to come into your life or what's going to be brought to you. So I focus on being in the present and working on my energetic state right now. How am I feeling? What do I need in this moment? How can I raise my vibration through what I'm listening to, the people I'm having conversations with, where I'm putting my attention and time, even the things that I'm putting into my body? Am I moving my life force energy? All that kind of stuff. And I continue to do that over and over and over. And I know everything's going to come to me. I trust that things are going to come, and they're going to come to me in ways that I don't know how. They're going to come to me in ways that are like way more than I could even imagine. So I try not to limit myself too much. And I work with life, and that's life in my personal opinion. So I hope this episode made you think a little bit differently of the current circumstances in your life. At least for me, I'm very much so ready to tap more into raising my vibrations through the routines that I'm having and connecting to my higher self more into my spirituality, more into just doing what feels good to me, and reminding myself that life gets to be easy. Sometimes we just get into this rut or this mindset, and sometimes it's the essence of going through a death and a rebirth. You have to pick yourself up from it, of like, life does actually get to be easy though. Sometimes we make it so freaking hard. We get so in our heads about things and creating so much story and so much resistance and so much, oh, this is going to be so tough. And really, it doesn't have to be. But it's going to be up to you to change your mindset and how you're looking at this deck of cards that you have, right? So yeah, that's going to be it. And by the way, I talk about this deck of cards in my book, The Ultimate Glow Up Guide, a guide to self-care, self-growth, and becoming the best version of you. At the end, that's what I close out my book with, is talking about how at the end of the day, the reason why I was able to go through everything that I went through in my story, in my book of glowing up and all the trials and tribulations and being able to be open and receiving information to be able to heal, is at the end of the day, I've always had this mindset of, I have this deck of cards and it can change. I've always had that. And honestly, I pull that wisdom and that mindset a lot actually from my mom, because as much as we went through what we went through, she always taught me that things can change. This doesn't have to be your life. You see what we have right here? This is what we've been handed to, but this is not going to be your life. You're going to go places. You're going to do something. And now there's many circumstances in my life that made me forget that. And that's what happens in life. Doesn't matter if your parents tell you that or not, right? But you have to always come back to reparenting yourself, telling yourself it can be done. You can do this. This is not going to be your life circumstance. And now you can have people like me, you can have parents, you can have friends, and hopefully you do have some sort of something in your life and you need to create that life in which you're getting that message, but it's going to start with you. You have to be the one to tell yourself that you can change, and then you're going to find other people who are telling you, yes, you can change. Why? Because when you have that positive mindset, you're going to be going in the direction of only listening to people who can tell you that it's possible to change. If you have the mindset of, I can't change, negative, crappy situations, life is shit, then you're only going to be a match to people who think the same way, right? And then you're going to get into this negative feedback loop. That's why it's so important that you have to become to the change first, and then it gets reflected back into your life, and then you get into that positive feedback loop. And it's not going to be the most perfect loop. It's not going to feel the most, like the best ride ever, but you don't have to be afraid of when it's not so smooth, when the ride is not so smooth. I promise you, going through a very rocky road, I have learned that I don't need to be afraid of negative emotion. I don't have to be afraid of when things come up and it's a little bit scary. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be afraid. And yeah, I am afraid. I'm going to feel my feelings and oh my God, I'm going to need more support and I'm going to need to da-da-da-da. But I got this. You have this. You can do this. You were meant for this. This is what life is. Okay? So that's going to be it. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend if you're listening to this on Thursday, going into the weekend. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.